What's going on, Guardians? It's Tizzle here. In today's video, I'm going to be going over tips, tricks, and loadout suggestions to easily beat the Prophecy Dungeon solo flawless. As in my other videos, I will not be going over encounter mechanics, as I am assuming if you're attempting to solo flawless a dungeon that you have a grasp of what to do. With that being said, let's get into it. In the opening encounter, I am using the Devour tree with Necrotic Grips. I showcased this build in my last two videos. It worked wonders in the Thrallway of the Shattered Throne and the Totems in the Pit of Heresy, and it also does work here in the opening room as well as the cube room. You can see in the background gameplay, I just have to hit one Taken Thrall and the Corruption does the rest. For weapons, I have an Ignition Code with Blinding Grenades, an Ikelos SMG to spawn Warmind cells for ad clear, and of course, Anarchy. Anarchy is always god tier, but it is especially great in this dungeon, and it is even more OP this season due to the artifact mod Breach and Clear. It is what inspired me to make these solo flawless dungeon videos, because in my opinion, it has never been easier to solo flawless a dungeon than it is this season. Having an on-demand debuff for any boss in the game is extremely powerful, as you probably already know, and as I will demonstrate in this tutorial video. The first room is very easy. You just have to stick the knights with an anarchy or two, and hide in the dark or stay in the light to make the motes that you need. Rinse repeat a few times, and you are off to the first boss of the dungeon. The Phalanx Echo fight is probably the easiest to do on a Warlock, thanks to Well of Radiance. It allows you to hit the boss through the immunity of the goblins. For this fight, I use an Ikelos SMG for ad clear and to spawn Warmind cells, Witherhoard for damage over time, ad clear, and the debuff it gives from Breach and Clear when it comes to the damage phase, and then a God Roll Falling Guillotine. Obviously swords aren't as strong as they once were, but they still get the job done here for an easy one phase. Another thing that is great to run is Solar Damage Resistance and Concussive Dampener. The knights can hit very hard, and these just help you to survive that much easier. I also have on Charge with Light and Protective Light for survivability. Again, the goal is solo flawless, so you want to play your life at all costs. And then I have Global Reach on to make my Warmind cells able to clear out the trash ads. My advice for this encounter is just to play safe. You can see one time I miss a cleanse on a plate, and that is okay. Another time I'm holding light motes and then make dark motes. Those mistakes will most likely happen. The big thing is just not dying. You can take your time as much as you need to here. The big thing is just cleansing the plates safely. You only need to do it 4 times. Once you get 4, boss DPS is very easy. Just lay a Well of Radiance down and shoot the boss with Witherhoard for the debuff from Breach and Clear, and then go to town with your sword. Also, if you have the mod, you'll want to run Taken Spec on all your weapons the whole way through this dungeon. It is a mod that you can get from the secret chests in the Last Wish raid. I believe it gives a 10% damage buff against all taken enemies, so it's a higher debuff than minor, major, or boss spec. And it applies to every enemy, so it's very handy in this. After the boss, we head to the Wasteland. I like to use Xenophage and a sniper here. The sniper is really good for taking out the hobgoblins. Anarchy is also a good option for the taken blights, but Xeno also works. Necrotic Grips and Devour are good here too. There is no rush on this encounter. Just play safe, take out the adds and blights, and watch out for the taken minotaurs. They tend to shoot you from a very long way away. One tip for the blights is to shoot from the top of the blight and you won't take damage. Also, another thing, for some reason, I never know where I'm going at this part, so if you see me driving around aimlessly, that is why. The next encounter is the cube room, and it can be very hectic. Once again, I take advantage of concussive dampener and solar resist, as well as protective light. The start of each room is the biggest challenge. You have to spot Toland so you know what kind of moats to make, and then you have to take out the hobgoblins and the adds right away. If you don't deal with the adds, they will multiply, so definitely make them a priority. As soon as you take out a hobgoblin, a knight will spawn, and as soon as you kill a knight, a hobgoblin will spawn. There is always cover from the hobgoblins, but I try and get them down early as it allows me to focus on the adds. Once the adds are dealt with, I take out the knights as fast as possible. After that, you just have to collect the moats and cleanse the proper plate without getting sniped. You can get into a good rhythm in this encounter, and it actually makes it kind of peaceful. Every time you clear a room and go to the middle plate, make sure all your weapons are reloaded. Between Warmind cells and necrotic grips, you really don't have to worry about the adds getting out of hand. I would recommend machine gun ammo finders and scavengers for this encounter as well, as Xenophage is excellent here. I like to run a sniper, because ranged weapons are great here because you can take out the hobgoblins with ease and kill the knights from light or dark as needed. Sadly, RNG does play a role in this encounter, as sometimes Toland will be on the top instead of on one of the sides, so you just have to run through an extra room or two. But once you get to the Phalanx bosses, it is pretty straightforward. Take them out and move on to the Wasteland. From here, we rip through the Wasteland, and then we move on to one of the coolest skyboxes in any game I have ever played, Rainbow Road. This area is just so cool looking, I absolutely love it. I always take the road to the left because I am just comfortable with it, but you can take whatever path is the safest for you. If you launch your Sparrow like I do a couple times, just make sure you jump off, as the fall damage will sometimes cause it to blow up and kill you. When you get to the jumping platforms, take out any adds you feel is necessary. I skip a few in my run, but feel free to take them all out with a scout rifle if you feel more comfortable. On the last set of roads, once again, I go left. I'm used to the timing of the boopers here, but if you are not, feel free to get off your Sparrow and jump over them. Additionally, it is not a bad idea to switch to Top Tree Dawnblade at this part for the extra mobility. Towards the end, I launch my Sparrow to get sucked up into the vacuum. My Sparrow winds up behind me and somehow kills me. Don't ask me how, that is just Destiny physics in a nutshell. So be wary of this. Jump off your Sparrow before, or better yet, don't even use your sparrow here. You can never be too safe. On the second attempt, I jump off my sparrow super early. The only reason I launch off my sparrow at all is sometimes this part is super inconsistent to suck you up from the ground. But just keep jumping around and eventually it'll suck you up. But once you are through that, all that is between you and that sweet emblem is the boss. And in my opinion, this is the toughest boss fight of all the dungeons. Since I died on Rainbow Road, I figured there was no harm in another death, so at the start of the encounter, I melee a full health Scion and it does not die. You have to get some chip damage into them before you can one-shot melee them. That is actually quite important to know. Another thing to note is watching my run back, I did not equip Grenade Launcher Loader. I definitely recommend running that for faster reloads on your Anarchy. Reconstruction, Vorpal's Succession, and Anarchy is the best damage you can do on this boss. You could argue that Witherhoard and a sword is better for boss damage, but that is far too risky for a solo flawless. Anarchy is god tier for this whole boss fight. It allows you to stick a knight and run to where you need to make your moats. It is awesome against the Phalanx Echo boss as you can damage it constantly, which allows you to take out the hobgoblins. As well, Breach and Clear just makes it that much better, as it will allow for your other weapons to hit harder. Another tip is when you first enter the room with the 3 bosses, sometimes the light and dark plates will change, so always double check. That being said, if you make the wrong color moats from time to time, it isn't the end of the world. This is not a race. After you clear a room, you can farm waves of adds to try and get ammo drops. I do that here and get lucky enough to get a heavy drop. It goes without saying, but you want as much heavy ammo as you can get going into the boss room. You always want the boss to be stuck with Anarchy so that you are doing some damage, because if you don't do any damage, he tends to teleport faster. When it comes to damage, it is very simple. Stick with Anarchy and then play your life. The first damage phase, I get the boss below half health, but it is crucial to take out the hobgoblins as soon as possible, as they can mess you up if you aren't careful. The other thing I must stress is do not get hit by the boss's teleport. On a warlock especially, it can spawn you in a weird place and cause you to die. Always use the cover. And another thing, don't stand too close to the cover, as sometimes the teleport will hit you if you are butted right up against the rock. It is messed up, but it happens. Once you have no hobgoblins up, then you are free to go in on the boss. Also use your grenades whenever possible, as every bit of damage helps. Another thing you can do if you want to play extra safe is after the boss DPS phase, you can hang out and wait for your super to charge. In the 3 boss room, every time you cleanse a plate, an ogre spawns, as I am sure you are aware. But one tip I have is to hit it with 2 anarchies, and then let it tick die with your Ikelos SMG out. This will cause a Warmind cell to drop, which will help with ad clear. As you can see, I once again try and farm ammo, but I get impatient and go in with only 10 anarchy. In the end, this is a huge mistake, as it keeps me from getting a 2-phase. I would recommend not going into the boss room with fewer than 16 anarchy shots. Farm as long as you have to. Learn from my mistakes. Luckily, I get it easily on the 3rd phase, but man would it be nice to not have to go through the 3 boss room a 3rd time. You can get super screwed in those rooms if you are unlucky. Like if you spawn into the room that is pretty much all light and get 3 dark plates, that is a huge pain in the ass. So my advice would be that whenever you clear a room, just farm ammo for as long as you have to. This is the part where I seriously miss taking armaments, as I am just at the mercy of RNG. I mess up in the 3rd room and grab dark motes only to find that there are 3 light plates. That is unusual, but it happens. No matter, I continue on and just stay the course. One problem with this dungeon especially is simply bad RNG. It can be frustrating, but just stay focused. Rinse and repeat the same as the other rooms and you'll be fine. You can really see in this 3rd room just how strong necrotic grips are in this encounter. As well, I think my first damage phase showed off how strong Breach and Clear is, as I got the boss down to below half health with relative ease. That is why I can't recommend doing this dungeon enough this season. It is as free as it will ever be, especially because Bungie has already confirmed that Anarchy will be getting nerfed in the near future. So get out there and give it a go. I get through the third room, and then it is as easy as launching a Nova Bomb into the boss for the win. I really hope this video helped you out in some way, and if it did, let me know down in the comments. It means a lot to hear that my videos helped someone out, especially so if it helped you get one of the nicest emblems in the entire game. I just love this emblem so much. But that is it from me. If you want to see more helpful content like this in the future, then be sure to subscribe. Good luck with the dungeons, I know you can do it. Take care.
What the nine are trying to say. Light, dark, it don't matter.
Light and dark are not the same.
Didn't say the same, just the difference don't matter.